A little while ago, I made a video where I explored what it would be like if Route 1 Pokémon were legendary Pokémon instead, and at the recommendation of one of my viewers, I am now here to do the opposite, and look at what if legendary Pokémon, the gods of the Pokémon world, were cute little Route 1 Pokémon that you find at the start of the game instead. This is also a tweaked version of a trend that Labypummon on Twitter started, so shout out to them for the idea. And lastly, before we get started, I want to say that while the goal here is to make these Pokemon look as Route 1-like as possible, I also just went for a general, normal Pokemon look as well, but tried my best to focus in on the kind of Pokemon that you would be able to find at the start of the game before the first gym leader in any given Pokemon game. With all of that being said though, let's go ahead and check it out. So today's video is being made possible thanks in part to today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. And now is the best time to grab a Ridge Wallet because it could literally win you a Ford Bronco or $75,000 cash thanks to Ridge and Hennessy's Summer Sweepstakes. You can enter the contest for free simply by checking out Ridge's website, and you can also get one additional entry for every dollar spent on the site, plus there's also limited edition Hennessy products available right now that can get you up to 1,000 entries. However, this isn't going to last much longer, as the last day of the sweepstakes is September 30th, 2023, and that's your last chance to enter. Ridge wallets are the nicest wallets that I have ever used. It's a product that I personally use myself every day, and I will never not use one again because of how nice they are. Like, for real, that is how much I enjoy them. And now they can also get you an upgraded Hennessy Ford Bronco or $75,000 if you prefer cash. So go to ridge.com/hoops with the link in the description to check all of that out, and by using code HOOPS at checkout, you'll also get 10 bonus entries at checkout and 10% off your order as well. If you've ever been considering getting a Ridge wallet before, now is definitely the best time. So be sure to check it all out at ridge.com/hoops with the link in the description, and a big thank you to Ridge for supporting the channel. Okay, so the first legendary that I am going to start with is Solgaleo. I decided to go with Solgaleo because A, I thought it would make for a good candidate for this concept, and B, I also decided to go with legendary Pokemon that look especially legendary to make the transformation into a Route 1 Pokemon more interesting. With that said, I give you Route 1 Solgaleo, or as I like to call him, BB Solgaleo, cause he's just so dang cute. This one is probably my favorite out of the bunch that I have to share with you today because it just turned out so adorably. I mean, look at that face! The artwork for this guy and all of the others in this video was done by my good friend Deims Fakemon, so be sure to check them out with the links in the description because they clearly do great work. Additionally, while this isn't really a whole new Pokemon or a pre-evolution or anything like that, if we were to treat it as its own individual thing, I imagine that its typing would also be a bit different as well, because frankly, this does not look like a Psychic or a Steel type. I imagine that it would probably be a normal Steel type personally, because it is still Solgaleo at the end of the day, and the reason for Solgaleo's Steel type is due to its connections to alchemy, which BB Solgaleo would still technically have, and it could also technically grow into that Psychic type from there. Normal Steel is also a type combination that has never been used before at this point, so that would also make it cooler too. And while I know that this is the sort of thing that is never going to happen in an actual game, obviously, I kind of wish that it could because I need this little guy to be real. Now we're going to look at our second legendary though, and that would be Giratina. Or rather, Giratina if it was just a regular Route 1-esque Pokemon. Now, I really like this one as well because I feel like this is how Giratina actually could have looked when it was a bit younger. We know that Giratina was banished to the Distortion World for its misdeeds, and it's always been my personal headcanon that the Distortion World is what gave Giratina the Ghost type, because why would Arceus create a Pokemon that was basically dead right from the get-go? So, Giratina before that point possibly could have been a little less ghostly like this. That is why I would give Route 1, or regular Giratina, the pure dragon typing as well, and overall, I think it looks pretty great. While you're obviously not going to find any dragons on Route 1, at least not in current Pokemon games anyway, this definitely does a great job in my opinion of showing what Giratina could look like as a normal average Pokemon, and could even make for a good first stage of a pseudo-legendary line or something like that. Let's go ahead and look at another legendary dragon though, by the name of Rayquaza. Rayquaza is another super legendary looking legendary Pokemon as well, so I've decided to de-legendary it with Route 1 Rayquaza. This slithery little guy basically becomes a baby snake, and for whatever reason, its design in particular gives me some major Tiny Toons vibes, which is sort of the objective of this idea, I guess, so I guess it's a good sign. But yeah, not only does this regular Rayquaza look slithery, but it would also be slithery as well, since it wouldn't be able to fly in this form and would just slither around on the ground like you would expect a Route 1 Mon to do. As such, it wouldn't be flying type and would also be pure dragon, just like baby Giratina. We never get to see what legendary Pokemon would have looked like when they were younger, or even as babies, because that's not really a thing that's addressed or brought up most of the time. However, if it was addressed a little more often, I imagine that this is exactly what a younger, more regular Rayquaza would look like. Now we're going to look at the Kalos duo of Xerneas and Yveltal. These two are especially resplendent and definitely have that legendary look, so what would it look like if they made their home on the early routes of the Kalos region instead? Well, they might look something like this. Route 1 Xerneas is a lot less rainbowy, as you might expect, compared to the legendary version, but it does still keep its fairy typing. Now, I don't usually do this, but I would like to also show you guys one of the sketches for this design as well, because I think it provides an interesting alternative for this form of Xerneas. In going along with the Route 1 aesthetic, the goal was to make Xerneas naturally look as normal as possible, and thus its primary color was changed to brown during this period of the design's development. At the time, I thought that this deviated too much from Xerneas because we obviously still want it to look like the same Pokemon even if it is much more regular, so I opted to keep its blue coloration. But now that I think about it, I think I might actually prefer the brown, as it makes it feel more distinctive and of course normal compared to the regular Xerneas, but it's also not hard to see that this is a Xerneas form as well. In this form, I would say that regular Xerneas would be a pure normal type, making it just about as Route 1-like as it could possibly be compared to the legendary version. Meanwhile, on the other hand, I love the way that Route 1 Yveltal turned out. Since Yveltal is obviously already bird-like, I decided to make it into your typical Route 1 bird, and I think the balance between that and still making sure that it resembles Yveltal turned out beautifully. And again, shout out to Deims for their wonderful work here, and be sure to check them out with the links in the description. Which one of these Route 1 legendaries is your favorite though? Be sure to let me know in the comments and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it because it really helps the video out. Also, let me know if you would like to see a part 2 of this, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more. You can also support the channel further if you would like by checking out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify or wherever else you get your music, which is immensely appreciated as well and helps the channel a ton. With that said, I will be back very soon with another video, and until then, as always, thanks so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.